What's good, everybody, and welcome back to episode 24 of the TheStankCast. I'm your host, Ham Stank. Joining me on today's episode, once again, I'm just joined by Craig Cowie, co-host of the show. But we've got a special guest in the building for this podcast. Our first interview. He's an exciting, thrill-seeking maniac. He goes off, jumping off cliffs, doing whatever he wants on bikes, anything like that. He's had plenty of injuries. It's Lee Mitchell. Round of applause for Lee.
Hey, good boys.
What's happening, Lee? How we getting on?
Yeah, good. Glad to be here. It's the first time doing anything like this as well, so
Yeah, it's glad to have you, mate.
should be good to just chat rubbish for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Cool,
We'll get down
we'll
into it. So the reason I wanted to have you on was because I've seen a lot of the stuff you've done over the past few years. You've been, let's say, you've been a thrill seeker since your whole life, have you?
Pretty much, man. Yeah, as long as I can remember.
Yeah. Just get us started. What got you into it? What do you think makes you a thrill seeker?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I've got ADHD. That's a pretty obvious one. That's the main factor, you know. But I think it's just almost try and stay young and staying active and keep that feeling alive of wanting to do stuff. And I found sometimes in some sports when you stop doing it for a while, you built up a fear.
Yeah.
So that's when you sort of like you stopped doing it and you became scared, you know. So I keep trying to do all these different activities or new stuff to keep that feeling alive.
Yeah.
And keep
So you're not becoming stagnating.
Pardon?
You're not becoming stagnating. You're just continuing.
That's exactly it. Yeah, just keeping it. It's never ending, really, you know.
Well, why cliff jumping? It's one of the most out there kind of things to do. I mean, I've done a little bit when I was younger, like the 35-footer at Arbroath or whatever. I did that one, but that was enough for me. You know what I mean? And you've went above and beyond.
Yeah, I think everyone's done that. You know yourself, being from Arbroath as a teenager, everyone's had a wee shot on the cliffs, jumping off them. It's just something you've done in the summer.
But for most people, it stops there. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. You know, like so I done it as a teen, and it was only kind of through COVID, you know, in 2020 when you couldn't really go exploring, you couldn't go anywhere. So that's when we started doing the cliff jump more intensely, and it was also just on your town, so you didn't have to travel. You weren't stuck with many rules of that. But the cliff jumping, it's never ending what you can do. You can put your mind to it, you know. Like I remember when I done the 54-foot double backflip off the diving board. It's a horrible jump. It's horrible takeoff and that. Everything's about it's nasty. And even when I sort of put it in my head, I still at the time wouldn't believe I could do it. And it's just a lot of determination and practicing and experience of getting there. Yeah. And once you've done one backflip, you do it over and over, and it gets a bit kind of boring because it's not giving you the same. It's just repetitive. You're doing the same trick. So it's like how can I progress this? And you'll maybe do a backflip with a spin, or do
how
two
do you
backflips.
Take it to the next level?
Yeah, and then you'll do 20 foot, 30 foot, 40 foot. So it's just sort of it's a never ending. And then again, like you'll start doing front flips or two front flips. So it's just it's the thing with cliff jumping. It's like it's your mindset. That's what the biggest challenge is. I mean, obviously you have to be physically capable to do all the tricks and stuff, but the hardest part it's definitely your mindset.
Throwing yourself off.
Yeah. So just like say keeping yourself feeling alive.
Right. Okay.
And keeping at it, you know.
Yeah, I don't have it in me. I'm not built for that. Even when we used to go to Edsall, I used to Edsall and jumping in there, like that was enough for me.
Yeah.
Like there's like a mid-level jump. I don't even know what it is, and honestly, even standing at the top of it, I was like absolutely terrified. I don't know. I'm not built like that.
I'm not a great with heights. Right, I'm not a big heights guy, but the cliff jumping was different. I really enjoyed it, but when I did that 35-footer, I burst my eardrums when I went down. And now anytime I jump in the water, I burst my eardrums. They just pop.
Oh yeah, it's still sore.
Yeah, it still goes. It still goes every time, so I can't do it anymore, really.
Is it the 31-footer at the cliffs?
Yeah, at Arbroath.
Yeah.
I've actually never jumped off the cliffs at Arbroath.
Have you not?
Nah, I've never. I've done some of them at
Elliot.
Elliot.
We're going on Wednesday.
I saw that.
Mate, honestly, I would look like a terrified little girl. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, please no. I can't do it.
Yeah, it would be great. I think you were there. I think I screamed like a little girl jumping off the 35-footer, and everyone was at the top laughing.
Oh man,
honestly,
that would be me. 100%, that would be me.
Yeah.
It's always a laugh.
I always when you go through and do these things, like, what's your favourite move? Like, have you got like a specific jump that you like doing?
Yeah, so I used to. My first jump would be a double backflip. That would be my go-to. Not kind of easy trick, but like I was saying, it's one I've done a million times.
Comfortable.
So I know it. Yeah, exactly. Comfortable. That or a gainer would be my go-to. But then obviously when I had my accident, the double backflip, which we'll get into later on.
Yeah, okay.
It still plays mind games on me, and that was about 2 years ago.
Right, okay.
And it's still, when I'm standing on top of that cliff, turning my back to it, it's like, remember that time when that happened? You're like, so it's in your head all the time.
There'll be flashbacks.
So it's, again, it depends, the takeoff, the location, what your surroundings are, the atmosphere, what sort of jump you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that on our recent trip. It's just like, when you step on a cliff, like, what do you decide your way to do? Unless you're setting, right, I'm going to do a new goal here. It's what's your go-to? And everyone's got their own one, again, depending on the surroundings and that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to the lockdown phase, right? Because you started posting YouTube content about 3 years ago or so. And some of the videos I've done are really well done. Like I think maybe your second last one that was like 12 minutes long or something. I watched that. I really enjoyed it. It's like well done cinematically, and I know how hard it is to edit and stuff like that. Do you do all that yourself?
Yeah,
you do, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I used to just do the jumping, and then I think I got a GoPro around about that time, and then I started filming it, and then like you say, you done a few clips here and there, but I think that YouTube video you're on about was when we done the Scotland tour, so there was a lot of videos, a lot of locations over the whole week, crammed into 12 minutes, and it's always good to look back on how good a time you can live in the moment, but you want to get some videos to then sort of relive it time and time again. When you're doing all these different, because you go all around Scotland, so when you UK wide, so when you're doing all these different jumps, I'm sure it gets muddled up. So these will be good memories to even have to show your wee man or whatever, Totally, yeah.
But I was always wondering, like, you do these tours, you go around Scotland, and you're planning one recently, no? You've got one coming up?
This weekend.
Right, okay. Yeah. Where are you got heading off there?
So we're going to start on Saturday at the Falls of Brewers, the House of Brewers, just on 89.
Yeah.
So you park in that car park, there's a nice sort of gorge, it's always a nice walk in that anyway, it's quite beautiful, and the crystal clear water. We're going to jump that on the Saturday and then back down to Pitlochry, camp at those bridges, and then do the bridges on the Sunday. Yeah. We're going to do Dunkeld. There's, the Hermitage, there's sort of nature trail walk as well.
Yeah, I know all that bit.
There's a few jumps over the bridge and that, but it's not like, there's not loads to do, so we've ended up just putting it off.
So what bridges is it at Pitlochry you jump off of?
I think it's called Clooney Footbridge.
All right, okay.
Which is a footbridge, well, footbridge obviously, but one you can walk along.
Yeah.
But the road bridge is actually part of the main A9, like the Perth to Inverness road.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, so the footbridge is generally about 30 foot, and the road bridge is about 60 foot, but it does fluctuate a couple of foot, depending when the dams are open either side. Okay. So the first time we knew about the dams when we were camping for the first time, and we were putting our beers in the river to cool them down, and then we'd come back half an hour later and then they'd be floating down the river, and then we'd move them up again, and same happened, and then the police actually came the next day for whatever reason, and that's who told us about actually a dam, because we couldn't figure out why it was like...
Oh, so it was just filling everything
again and taking figure out how this loch was like rising, but that's what they were saying. There's a dam north and south of Pitlochry, so it depends what's open or whatnot.
Right, okay.
Kind of gives you a 2 or 3 foot, I think it fluctuates in height.
Because I saw you did the tire swing. No, what was it? You had like a bike handlebars.
Yeah.
When you did, have you seen that one, Kevin? You had bike handlebars tied to a rope.
Where was that? Is that at the cliffs?
Was it Pitlochry?
Yeah. Is it Pitlochry?
Yeah.
I've not seen that. No,
I don't know where. It's probably one of my YouTube videos.
I probably have to be fair.
It was that was about the time I was working up there. That was when I was at phone up there. I saw that because I was working in the kitchen at the time, and I could see there was people doing stuff on the bridge, but I didn't know it was you till I checked your socials and I saw it was you. That was one of my favourite ones, just because I was there. I had to see it in person. It was pretty mad.
No, my pal actually brought BMX handlebars all the way from Kilmarnock, and then I brought a rope, so obviously just as we met, and then we set up.
Perfect.
So for the first time, I always wanted to do a rope swing. It gives you a whole different sort of feeling and more airtime, because obviously you're going up and then down, so I'd be lying if I said numbers, but you've got the same airtime as you would from like a higher jump, but without being scared of being so high. You've
got more time to do whatever move you're doing.
So you can basically kind of do one flip on the way up and then one on the way down, or what I did, try 3, but I've tried it twice. I've went for a triple back twice, and both times landed almost, but just like on my front, so maybe like a quarter of a turn I would have been fine, but the second time was a lot worse because I landed like face first, and because your eye sockets are shaped like
absolute cup of
and honestly I was like blind for a good like 10-15 seconds.
Man.
Thankfully there was safety in the water kind of helped me, because I couldn't see a thing, and I was a bit not concussed, but you're a wee bit dazed when you take a slam. And then I think it was later on that weekend we headed back to Arbroath, and honestly, my eyes went like purple and pink, and for about a week and a half, it just looked like I had eyeshadow on, not like a black eye, but just a wee tinge on my eyelids.
Oh mate, I've never had a
that's mad. I've never had that. Like it.
Yeah, it was nasty. All right, yeah.
That's an interesting one.
What was this on that swing?
Yeah, I went for the triple, and I just tucked, and I kind of knew it when I was in the air. I was feeling, and I was like, I don't think I've got this, and then because you can't see, obviously you're going usually when you're high up you can kind of tell where you are in the air, you can see it even for a split second, but you're just spinning as fast as you can, and next you're just like right to the face and the front.
Rough. Jesus, man, they feel the full force of that as well. The rotation there, boof.
Yeah.
To be fair, I jumped in it on one of the ones at Edsel and didn't land with my feet under it. It landed on my butt and I felt fucking violated. So I can imagine.
So you went up and did it another twice.
The feeling of that on your eyes, I can imagine what that must have been like.
Yeah, you have to roll with the punches.
Let me tell you.
But cliff jumping wasn't the first thing you got into, was it?
Nah.
It wasn't, because I saw videos on there where you were, what was it you did? You were jumping over your car off the garage. Jumping over your car, on the garage.
That was a lockdown one. Yeah, again, just.
Yeah, I could tell that was something like lockdown because there was like a trampoline with ramps on it. It was funny, man.
Again, just being a bit creative, like bored, locked in the house and that, and staying in my drive, and then I think I had like long scaffold boards left over, so I parked my car underneath my garage, screwed them to the top of my garage, and just put a bit of wood on my car. And the next thing I drove over my garage roof down and then jumped off the car, and then I think I'd done the same going back the way I created a gap, so I was jumping over the car and then landed on the downhill of the scaffold board.
It was pretty mad.
Just being a bit creative, just something to do.
What made you post
view of that? It just like what's he doing out there? You're absolutely diving your fucking
entertainment for the neighbours.
Everyone would have known. Who was living next door, What made you post that kind of stuff though? Like, what made you actually post it on YouTube?
Well, that was again just the whole lockdown, having time on your hands. So had the GoPro recently. I was like, just do some entertain myself. And then so once I'd done it that day or whatever, I'd go the next day and just edit it, and I'll just post it for a laugh and give people a bit of a laugh, with COVID when everybody was all miserable and not doing much. So between that and just I think I was jumping out the window at a later date as well.
It's one hell of a way to cure your boredom during the lockdown, like it was.
You need something to do, all right.
But something just cut out. No, it's fine. What was I going to say? I had something in my head there and it's just gone.
But to be fair, I was just trying to find a point to slip in to ask you. See, you have that video one that's like 66 feet. Is that the highest one you've done?
Nah, that was so that was before. That was, I think, like honestly, 2nd of January 2020. So this is before like COVID hit or like the cliff jumping really took off, because I think somehow I got into cliff jumping around about the Christmas time of 2019, and that's when I made the Arbroath cliff jumping group.
That's what I was about to ask him about.
Savage time to be cliff jumping.
I knew
that was a point I had as well in the winter, man.
Yeah, man, I know. Just it was like being flying it for the first time again. I was just excited, just wanted to get out. But if you've got a thick wetsuit, I mean, it is cold, but like when you've got the right gear, it's manageable. Obviously much more pleasant in the winter.
Oh mate, in the summer. Hell.
I don't think I jumped last winter, but that was due to an injury. And when I recovered, I was like, I can't. There's no way I'm going to start jumping now, like 6 months off or whatever, and then go into the freezing cold North Sea.
I'd hit the water and panic, man.
But I think again, just around that time was when I was sort of started the group, and I was meeting new people with different sort of backgrounds. So I met a guy called Tom Ashton, and he likes his like free diving and his kayaking and his fishing and stuff like that. And I believe it was Tom who I first met him at Auchmithie. And then we went out in his kayak, 2-man kayak. He's got a fish finder which will tell you the depth of the water. It'll even show like bubbles underneath and seaweed. So you've got you've on like a graph, you can have an idea of what's underneath you. It's deeper end like that. So initially just went for a scope just to see. Right, we had this jump. It was 100 foot. So we were saying, right, how deep is this water? Is it going to be possible? So I went out there in the kayak, got the depth checked, fine, it was all good. It was like 30 odd feet, so plenty of depth. And then as I was up on the top, not the 100 footer, this was the 66, and I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to walk back down, so I just ended up going for it, and that ended up being my highest jump at the time, but totally caught me off guard because, like, say, we were just on a sort of scoping mission to check things out.
Yeah.
And I was standing there, I was like, okay, I can do this. So yeah, that was my
on a whim.
Yeah.
that's wild.
I've honestly done quite a few jumps like that, like personal bests, where I've just said, "Oh, I'm going to just take it easy today. I'm not feeling it," and then
got there. And
and I'll have a look, or you'll watch other people going, and everyone's having a good time, and I got bad FOMO, when people are having fun, and I'm like, I'm going to go see what that's about. So then it just happens. Yeah, like quite a few of my biggest jumps or best tricks kind of thing have been from that, just off the back.
What is the biggest one?
It's about 80 foot. But it was hard to get an official tape measure on it because it was so windy. It was the actual.
How do you measure that?
You've got like a surveyor's tape,
right?
And what I do is I put like a weight on the end and a bottle with just an old plastic bottle, right? So you drop the weight down. The bottle obviously floats on top of the water.
Yeah.
So then you get your height. Say it's 80 foot. You reel it back up, take the float off, and then reel it back down until it hits the bottom, and then obviously you can kind of
that's good actually.
That's a way of knowing the depth, but you obviously need to get in the water and
have
a better swim about, because
the depth could be all different.
Especially when you're just dropping a wee weight, you could be right in between a rock, there could be like 2 meter rocks either side of you kind of thing. So
you do a lot of these like safety checks and stuff before you jump everywhere, and yeah
definitely
you have to
man, especially on like not gonna lie, sometimes you get a bit complacent on spots we already know. Like say Arbroath, it's 30 foot deep. You can generally have a look around.
You know where
there's
to
not
aim
really
for
going to be much in the way because it's quite an open pit. Same with Pit Lockery, that's about 30 or 40 deep. It's in a massive dip. So it's again, unless there's you go in for a wee swim, unless there's like trees being washed down with the river or something, it's generally
normally
good to go. Yeah, but depth checking's a very important one. Just
any new place you rock up, that's the first thing.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when there's it's fine if it's just you jumping, but when you're depth checking and there's a group of you, you're responsible for everybody giving the all clear. That's when you've got to be there's usually more than one person depth checking, it's like a second or third opinion to be sure.
Yeah, of course, man. These types of things, you're not messing about. It's a dangerous activity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People will get hurt. So where did you do your biggest one? Where was that at? What did you say it was, 80 foot?
Yeah, about 80 foot. I think it's about 80 foot because it was kind of like, it was so windy, the tape had a bit of a curve on it. Again, it was, what was it? I can't pronounce the name of it. It was between Kinlochleven and Fort William, so south of Fort William.
Right.
It's like Ballachy.
My geography is appalling, man.
Ballachy, it's the nice, if you were doing like the Glencoe Pass, the beautiful scenery drive through Glencoe to Fort William, you would drive over the bridge. It's like Ballachy Bridge or something. It's a massive structure. And we actually looked at it last June, me and a few boys, when we were driving over it. First time we actually went there, and we're like, whoa, threw a weight down that. But because it's kind of tidal, it's where the sea meets the loch, I think it is, so I believe. And then the water was just raging. So you jumped in, you'd been in Fort William in about 10 minutes. So it was just no way. And we just happened, because we've done the same tour this year, we just happened to drive past at the very right time, looked over, and we're just like, the water was sitting totally perfect. So sure enough, got our tape out, and I think from the platform we jumped, I think we got about, it was like just over 70, it was between 70 and 75 foot again, because of the slack tape, it was hard to get an official reading. So a couple of, somebody went back down, got the suit on, the goggles, and just had a swim right down as far as he could, and he said it was about 13, 14 foot deep, which is deep enough. It doesn't sound a lot, but
I was going to ask you that. What's like the least amount you can go?
People, there is a
different heights must.
Well, it's like the higher you go, the less water you actually need, because you hit the water harder, so it slows you down quicker.
Science, bitch.
Get it? Yeah, for real.
That makes sense.
Real. But people say you can jump in like any depth from like, I know people that jump in like 12 foot of water from like any sort of height, but I wouldn't be comfortable jumping 12 foot, man. You think like a standard ceiling in your house is 8 foot, so 1.5 of that.
It just is, it's like two of me. That's I'm no
But
thanks. Like
on the same note though, when you're in the water being safe and you've got goggles on, sometimes when the water's super clear and you watch somebody jump and you're looking as they land how far they don't go, you're like, oh okay, so it is, but it's just again in your head, like this is shallow.
Yeah. Your landing's got to be perfect as well, doesn't it? Like
definitely.
It just seems, man, I'm trying to get a gauge for like how high 80 feet is. Like comparatively for like a building or something like that would be like the same height as.
Do you want me to have a quick look at what buildings are 80 feet?
Because I want, it's like, obviously, like I'm too much of a shite bag to do it, so I would like I would never have, I wouldn't stand 80 feet above something, so I have no gauge for how high that is.
No, I'm not too sure either. But see what's another funny thing about that jump was, again, as we were driving past, I pulled up in my clothes because some boys wanted to jump it, one boy went down depth check, so I went up with like fully clothed with my camera. I was like, I'll video you guys, and next thing, you boys in the water, like, it's meant it's good to go. Somebody went, and I was just like, I'm gonna hate do this. So I was like, stripped down all my clothes off, down to my boxers, nothing on, right? And I didn't fancy doing anything like a crazy trick or a flip or anything, so I actually like stood back up on the road and then went from the railings, which was maybe like another like 10 foot higher than the platform that we were standing on. So I actually like jumped off the railings through the structure of the bridge. It was a massive structure. It wasn't like I was going through a wee gap, but just that sort of like, again, that vision of going through a sort of tunnel or a gap, and then it opens up just to give that extra bit of, not fear, but adrenaline filled kind of. So that was the sort of like my biggest jump.
As if like, the 80 feet wasn't quite enough. You know?
I know.
That's savage.
But then I still kind of do. I'm not a fan of cold water at all. So again, that was when I was down my boxers. Just jumped it in skins, just nothing else, no wetsuit, no like short shoes or anything like that. I was just like,
wait, barefooted as well? Was that not safe as fuck?
It was.
Oh man,
I like to wear socks and shoes, like wetsuit socks, because they keep your feet warm, and then again they take a bit of impact. But that was me like, just in my orange boxers straight off this bridge, and then what we were doing was like the first guy was safety in water, and then the rule was like once you jumped, you would be safety for the next guy, and I jumped and I come up and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm out. I'm swimming, like, I'm sorry.
No safety.
Somebody else in my wetsuit actually came back and took my face. I'm sorry. Can't do this.
So 80 foot is a quarter of the Statue of Liberty. It's an 8-story building.
I've never seen the Statue of Liberty.
It's an 8-story building.
An 8-story building.
Have you seen what's classed as the 100 foot Arbroath at all?
No.
Well, that 100 foot is actually measured about 75.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
I know that one.
Again, it was like when everybody done it as a teenager, because it was so big, everyone said the 100 foot.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, say again, 2020 when I was getting right into it, I actually went and taped it, and I think I broke a few people's hearts by saying it was only 75 foot. I knew there was people who've moved to Australia now, stayed up, like, because I posted it on the group. I was like, I let people have a few guesses, wind up a wee bit, and then the guy stayed up to like 2 or 3 in the morning just waiting for this answer. Alan Bain, I think, actually. And he was told, not quite heartbroken, but he was like, no way, that's only 75 foot. But on tape,
totally ruined people's tea time stories, man.
There's a YouTube video, I think it was actually Joshua Caird posted the video, must have been like 14, 15 years ago, and that's what it was. The title was like 100 foot Arbroath. So for as long as that's all everybody knew.
Classed as,
and then I kind of had to be the bad guy, break the news. So it's only 75.
Someone had to do it eventually, man. Mythbuster. That's what you are, man. Mythbuster. But you do a lot of other stuff as well, right? So you do a lot of your motorbikes as well. I saw that. You're out at Knockhill, was it?
Yeah, I've got a few motorbikes. Like, again, just more of the.
Arrived here in a fucking electric bike, man.
Surround,
that's fine.
If there was any way Lee was going to arrive, man, it was something like that, you know.
I know. But yeah, no, I've got a couple. I've got a road bike, but then I had a road bike from when I first passed my test for a few years. It's nice, an R6, just a 600cc, and then I started doing track days the end of last year, and and you kind of were getting good. I wouldn't say good at it, but confident would be the word I would say. And then I just got carried away at one point, and I ended up actually crashing it at Knockhill. Done a massive high side. I was just way too down at an angle, and then went full throttle, and the back end just stepped out, and then the handlebars squared up, and I was just like, here we go, woof! I went right across the track. I think I ended up breaking. I broke my tailbone, and my ass cheek was so swollen.
You broke your tailbone as well?
Oh yeah, for real, man.
Fucking flies.
Tell me about it, man. And I kind of wrecked the bike. I fixed it up since, so it's all good to go now. But yeah, I broke my tailbone. Like I said, just looked, I had massive implants and the bruising on my lower back and all my thigh from it. So
the bike crashes are no joke, man. My uncle, uncle races them up at the Isle of Man, and he recently just crashed. He was in hospital, broke his hip or something. They're no joke. Like when you fall off them, and it's heavy going.
Well, it's on the concrete, isn't it? There's absolutely no cushion at all.
Nothing.
Nah.
And you see some of the times people are falling off them, they just absolutely skid across the street, man. Rough. It was very rough. Totally. But you've picked some of the highest intensity hobbies ever, man.
Sometimes I wish I liked football or tennis for that reason. You know, it's like death.
Because you were never into like football like that, were you?
I did. I played in high school and that, but then I had to take a year out because I had knee problems. I think when I was like 12, 13. And at that time, there was 3 football clubs in Arbroath: St Murdoch's, Lads Club, and Ransell. And then 2 teams folded, so the whole town of like under 12, 13s were trying to get into one team the year I took out. So I tried to get back into it, and it was just, I think it was just everybody was better than me at the time. I got a couple of games. I never really got back into the swing of it. And then I think after that, I got into sort of mountain biking after I didn't do, football.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like the late teens, was doing all the mountain biking and the downhill racing and stuff.
Am I
like
right
that.
in saying that your dad played for Arbroath?
Yeah.
Is that right, is it?
Yeah, man, he played for Arbroath for a long time. He was a captain for a long time as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got that athletic ability in your family there. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
And did your dad ever, like, do you think he got you into that kind of that way of thinking?
Nah, because he was like a diehard football all the time. That was his, like, he was just football, and he was good at his football, and he trained hard, and he played for, I think he was Arbroath, Montrose and Brecon on and off for a long time.
Yeah.
And that was his sort of career, like full on football, but he didn't do any like adrenaline filled stuff.
Nah.
It was just mostly football. He liked his biking, like cycling and stuff, but it was mostly just football.
Do you think it was just you and your brother bouncing off each other? Because he's very much like that as well, isn't
Yeah. Jed's a bit tamer nowadays, but when we were younger, like teenagers, it was the same. The first sort of memory I can remember was like when we'd go on holiday, you know, when you were like 9, 10, and they used to pay €5 or something for a shot on the trampolines.
Yeah.
And again, you every night you would just be trampoline daft, because you never, 20 years ago, you never really had trampolines like you do now in your garden.
Yeah,
so it was a rarity being able to express yourself on something so good.
Yeah.
So that was it. You started doing backflips, and then you'd just be doing like 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row, and then you'd be doing front flips, jumping trampoline to trampoline. So it kind of like, I feel like that was my sort of start, not quite the adrenaline, but the more the athletic side of getting flips and stuff like that, and then exploring. Once you mastered the art of like a backflip, it's just adapting it to a different sport and a different technique.
Did you ever do trampoline in that at high school?
Nah, I've never.
Because they had proper
big
trampolines,
professional trampolines. We did it, and when we were in high school, we did it in our hire, and they were unreal. Like the height you would get on them, sensational, like really good.
Yeah, they were almost a bit too. I didn't like them. They could do some tricks, but just
they were launchy, man.
Yeah, they were
launchy,
scary, man.
Yeah, you felt. See, when you got to the top point, you just felt uneasy.
Yeah,
like, your whole body would go whoa.
The thing is, when you're up, you're obviously coming down with all that weight and force to then rebound your back. It was almost never ending.
No, I quite enjoyed the ones there.
Yeah.
I wasn't good on trampoline, like. I was never built for something like that again. Probably just for being an absolute shite bag.
You stick to jiu-jitsu and staying on the ground, hugging boys.
I like to. I actually played rugby at that time, which is not even any straighter. So.
Have you got anything that you wanted to put in the cubby? You got any questions to ask him?
I wanted to. Obviously, I'd mentioned bringing up your what happened to your knees.
Oh,
God!
Because you've
I haven't
never
heard this
properly
story.
like told me, but obviously I just know from things that happened that you ended up like smashing them up, but it was supposedly pretty bad. I want to hear from you.
Yeah,
like what happened.
It's such a shit story, you know that, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, like it must be about. It was the 7th of September, so 3 days from now. I think about 11 years ago. We're in a pub, the Station Bar, across the train station, funnily enough, and. Everyone was. I can't remember what we were out for. I think it was actually Dean Heenan Pass. So everybody was out for a few drinks for that. That's what it was. So everyone was kind of like, everyone was pretty drunk and kind of good spirits, celebrating that.
Yeah.
And we're all doing like party tricks. People were down in drinks. And next, I'm doing backflips in the pub. And then I think somebody else. There was 2 or 3 other boys doing it. And then Tom Gordienko, he was the one that was doing it right, and he wasn't landing it properly. So I literally says, like, you need to throw your arms up more, and really tuck. It was like, but this is what you're doing. And so that's how shit the story is. So almost purposely half-arsed done a backflip, and I just, obviously all the weight came round, I landed on my hands and my knees and just straight onto a sort of concrete floor. And when it happened, I was like, fuck, that was sore, obviously. And then I got up, sort of hobbled to a seat, and I remember speaking to Daniel, and I was like, fucking, that was a bit of a sore. That wasn't just like a wee done, I'm alright. And I was sitting down carrying on my drink, and I was like, I'll be alright eventually, just take a seat for 5 minutes. Obviously still sore, kept on drinking, thinking I was alright, and we ended up like leaving the pub, I don't know, an hour later to head down to Vito's, the nightclub, and I was meant to be going on my push bike the next day, and my knees were obviously getting sore. I was struggling I was kind of like limping at this point. I was like, I'm going to have to go home. So sure enough, got a taxi home, lay in my bed, put some ice on it. Fuck, I'll be brand new for tomorrow morning. I go on my mountain bike, and then I woke up at like 6:30 in the morning, with my knees like swollen up, just like bowling balls, both of them. Yeah, man. And obviously, because I couldn't even put weight on them, so next thing I was hungover, bursting for a piss, rolled out my bed, and next thing I'm just dragging myself along the floor all the way through my house to get to the toilet, and then I had to like pull myself up and over the toilet and like kind of like plank on the toilet just to have a piss in the morning. And then obviously my mum obviously heard me like struggling in that, and then I think it was the Saturday morning. Took me straight to 9 Wells because it was pretty obvious. It wasn't just like a wee.
No, something went wrong. Yeah.
So straight up to 9 Wells early Saturday morning. Went into the A&E, but got a scan or an X-ray. Sorry, and that's the woman says, you've fractured both your kneecaps. So I literally split both them inwards diagonally. It was like the same fracture on both kneecaps, just diagonally in the way. So again, that was a Saturday morning. So I was in the hospital the whole weekend. I think I got an operation like Sunday lunchtime, and initially I was meant to just be getting like a jag in my hip to be numbed from the waist down for it.
Yeah.
I was like, no way am I staying awake for this. So back down to the waiting room, but wherever it was in the ward.
So you were going to be like awake while they were cleaning about your... Oh,
I was like,
that,
no, I'm not
That's
awake.
stress,
So
man.
I had to go back down to the ward for like another couple of hours, so they redone the paperwork to get properly put to sleep
under,
for it.
yeah.
And then I woke up like, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock on the Sunday night after it all happened, and I sort of came to. I was like, obviously then from like my hip to my ankle and big braces, bandages covered up, couldn't really see what had gone on. And then I was still obviously dozed on morphine and that, and painkillers.
Yeah.
Fell asleep at like, I would say usual time at 11 o'clock, and I think I must have woke up like, would have been Sunday night or Monday morning at like 3 in the morning, just crying, howling in pain from this, and I was like blasting the buzz on the nurse, and I was getting morphine, and it took the edge off for like the first few times, but I think I just ended, my body got used to the morphine, and honestly I think I was awake until about Wednesday like tea time, just in fucking
agony.
Pain,
savage,
and howling and crying, literally crying, just fucking way worse than when it initially happened in the pub. And I remember like a couple of years ago now, somehow it was on like an A&E program, and I ended up watching a similar operation for a kneecap, and now I know like why it was so sore. So they obviously do a big cut on your knee, and then they bend your knee and have this thing wide open.
Oh yeah.
And the guys have got the same toolkit that I do as a joiner, like a hammer and these big metal rods, and they're chopping and just it was crazy to watch. But I ended up getting, I think it was like tension band wiring it was called. So like 2 like springs on both kneecaps and clamps to keep them together, and then like a wire, I think it was a titanium wire, a figure of 8 around it, and just twisted, which sort of made
hold it all together.
Clamp, just sort of clamped it together as in my kneecap. So then obviously I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. I got out, but I was wheelchair bound for like probably the best part of a month. And then because I was like still had these big splints on from my waist to my ankle. After about a month or so, I got these other ones that had like, you could adjust the degrees on them, so then I started trying to get the legs bending again, but still, wheelchair, crutches, big old braces, and I can't remember how long I was off work for, but it was a long time. And even when I did go back, it was sort of light duties in the in the workshop, nothing intense, just
there's nothing worse than not being able to do anything, like sat up like that. For how long were you?
I can't remember, it was so long ago, but I was at least 6 months before I was like comfortably walking,
That's that fucking rough, man. Yeah. Especially for somebody like yourself who loves to get out and do everything.
But see, on the same note, I feel like it was like, because when I was in the hospital, I was told, you might not walk again, they were that bad, that you'd have proper problems. I'm still going to have problems later on in life, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
When I kind of recovered and got back and doing the physio, the swimming, the cycling, and rebuilding my muscles and that, I felt like it was a second lease of life, because I thought at this point, even when I was getting an X-ray on the Saturday when I first went in, when I got told, you broke your legs, that's when I started kind of hit home. That I was burst out greeting just just like, fuck, man, I'm not going to be able to do anything that I love. So it kind of gave me a bit more determination to recover better, and then, like I said, just got a second win.
That's
so
good,
since then, I've probably done more. I know it's a long time now, but I've done more since then than I had sort of before as a teenager or something. Because I think Well, that must have been about 21. I think it was 21 when it happened.
For it to be such a stupid mistake, like
that's what I mean. It's not even cool, you know.
Well, this is how you don't do a backflip.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
you proved your point anyway, brother. You absolutely proved your point.
I don't think anyone tried it since.
It's just mental, like that. Like to think that you know what I mean. You might not even really properly been able to walk again. And now you're like I've fucking seen you backflipping on most things that have wheels. Like
yeah,
I
know. It's just trying new things. Yeah.
It's good that it sent you that way, you know, like instead of you took it as a positive and you really pushed forward doing the things you actually wanted to do.
Yeah,
that's good.
Definitely had my down days, of course, you know, and not quite depressed, but just wasn't in the mood to, didn't want to talk to anyone or didn't eat today, and just was like, pfft. But that was like the early days of it, and then when I did get a bit more mobile on my feet and then start the physio and that, it was still kind of hard.
It's a long road, so at the start of it would have been rough. Yeah,
I would say it was like say a good year and a half before I could. A year and a half, even 2 years before I could comfortably do even a backflip or trampoline again. You know, it was any impact on it. You know. Yeah,
it would have been taking a long time for that to heal properly. Like they're not quick recoveries.
No.
You do a backflip on a trampoline.
Okay, of course I can.
Oh, I can't.
You're gonna have to. But I'm not going to show you how. You can show you.
So what have you been doing recently? I saw recently you had a video that went a little bit viral. I think was you jumping off a balcony. That was a mad, man.
Yeah, that was our.
Where was that at?
That was in Mallorca.
Right. Okay.
So a few of my pals organised. Well, my pal Declan from down south, he organised a start of season send. So he just messaged me because he's way down like the south, not quite the south coast, but like south of London, so miles apart.
Yeah.
And he texted me. He was like, "Oh, fancying a trip to Mallorca. I'm doing a cliff
jumping." Did he meet you through this group?
Well, it's more the UK wide. There's a UK cliff jump, and then obviously I've got my small one at Arbroath just for locals to meet up.
Small, he's got 1.7 thousand in it, man. Small.
I think there's not many. That's the thing. A lot of people are just interested in it. I think because the cliffs are quite a big part of Arbroath, people are intrigued to see, you know, the positives of it. Because when we first set the group up, it was, you know, the usual, oh, you're stupid, you're silly, blah blah blah. And I was just like, I used to get involved with arguments, and it's just like arguing with a brick wall. You'd never see eye to eye, so you don't waste my time anymore with that.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, Mallorca. So yeah, that was like, I think the end of March, we went to Mallorca. It started off with just a few like group messages or WhatsApp, you know, fancy this. So I got my pals on Arbroath, and then he got his pals, and I reached out to a few other folk. And we thought it was just going to be, well, not small, but it ended up being about 50 or 60 people, and from about close to 10 different countries from all around Europe. And everyone just hired villas and cars and Airbnbs, and all just met, for
that's amazing.
For the same love of the cliff jumping, you know. And
how long were you there for?
Just 6 days it was. Just
6 day cliff jumping.
Week,
that's amazing.
That's pretty sick.
It's unreal because, you know, it's the best holidays you do. Even when you go on the road trips around the UK, you're doing something through the day, and in the night time, sometimes the best part, just the people you meet they're the best kind of people. They're just wholeheartedly good people and that genuine.
Just want to have a good time.
Yeah, but like you can sit down at a fire and sometimes having a beer, just having a laugh, and tomorrow they're a whole different person on the cliff doing, you know, 100-foot jumps, 80-foot triples, and just but so down to earth and cool people, you know.
Yeah, just love that adrenaline.
Nice people, yeah. Really
There's something to say about going out and pushing yourself to that level, though. Like there is, like putting yourself through that extreme thing. It's like not a lot of people do it, you know. Everyone's so comfortable just doing their normal thing, but to push yourself out to that limit, it must give you a heightened sense of everything that you're doing.
Yeah,
it makes the whole trip even better.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I would say even like, honestly, since we were in Wales, it was just over about a month ago now. Even like the Wales trip, and since after it, I think this month has been the most craziest shit I've seen in short, like over the whole time I've been doing it the past 3 or 4 years. That this month alone, man, just because
just with all those folk down and
just the right people, the right atmosphere, the motivation, the encouragement, the right jumps, nice water and comfortable takeoffs. You know, we were there down in Wales for over a week, and we're jumping a lot of quarries that just had all sorts of heights, so you were never stuck in one location just jumping a 30 or just jumping an 80. It was like you could pick and choose where you wanted to go. And there must have been 70 or 80 folk there for the week as well. Just living in your vans or in tents and just on the road.
That's actually awesome. That's
really
fucking
cool.
Yeah,
that's fucking sick.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It's really the best. You're not even living like a mink, because if you know, because we're jumping in the water, you're kind of getting a freshen up. But you can live in your van. But if you weren't like getting a freshen up every day, you'd maybe need to go to a campsite and get a freshen up every day or so. But because you're jumping in the water, you do get a sort of clean. So you're even though you're living in the van, it's great.
Yeah,
how many times have we talked about doing something like that?
Yeah,
honestly, that's one of my dreams is to go do a holiday like that.
Yeah,
not the cliff jumping for me. Like I'll watch, like I'll take some photos and
you can go spot check for it.
I'll swim in the bottom and take photos.
You do get people who come just for the crack, you know, that won't even jump. They might even just go for a wee swim or take a paddle board or something and just join in the atmosphere.
Fuck it, I'll be that guy.
Yeah,
it really does sound like
it's good
be
crack,
a good laugh, man.
It's always a good laugh.
I
like going camping places like this, especially. I really like going camping places. So find someone that's got a jump.
I love going cooking camping. I love wild cooking. When you're out camping, I love cooking on the fire.
Nice.
It's so good. So good.
Well, the fires we sometimes have like bonfires. I don't know if you've got your pots on them. So
I'll find a way, brother.
To be fair, Steve does the campsite chefing.
Aye.
He done a fucking belter of one last. He made like these fucking like what was it like pulled steak and peppercorn sauce sandwiches on like home baked focaccia bread. Oh mate, it was mental. I was like, what is this?
I did the barbecue smoked mash as well. So I wrapped up the potatoes in tinfoil, stuck them under the fire, and I took them out, and they were like all smoked and that. Had them in the sandwiches and that. It was class, man.
I went along thinking I was going to get like a fucking pink burger and on a dodgy bun, and I got that. I was like, this is fucking wild.
5-star meal on the woods.
Yeah. I love doing stuff like that. So I would love to go and do those type of trips. They seem right up my alley.
Well, we're going up Pitlochry this weekend if you want to come, like for real.
Oh man, I'm so busy at work.
Yeah,
I work
on call, unfortunately.
My days off on Monday, Tuesday, and nobody doing anything on those days. Nobody does anything. That's why we record on Mondays.
Yeah.
So next time you're going somewhere on a Monday or Tuesday,
maybe next year some point.
So like, well, let me think. I've got a few questions here popped up that I had written down for you.
I'm actually upset that I'm working on call. That would be good to go and see actually.
Yeah.
No, even just to be around that atmosphere. I don't think I'd be doing a lot of the jumping because, like I said, it pops my ears. Like we went up past Edsall Way once, and there was like a waterfall up there. I jumped in once, and it was my idea to go jumping in. Jump in once, my ears popped, and I couldn't do it anymore because I had it was just so much agony, man.
I did it at Edsall, and it gave me I had like a headache the next day as well. Like just jumped in Edsall. I don't know if I must have jumped in like a pure pencil, and I just went really far down. But my ears burst, and I had like a pounding sore headache for a day. Like
it's weird, you still get problems with it because when I was in Mallorca, I done the same. I actually landed on my side. Didn't quite burst my eardrum, but I had pain in my ears when I went like swimming for like a month or two after it. Even just going head under like not even a meter.
Yeah, it's still like that for me. Still now.
Yeah, I would get it checked out for me.
Probably burst eardrum.
Probably. I didn't get it checked out, but you're probably not wrong. My dad has the same issue, to be fair. He did it when he was younger as well, and he's still sore now as well.
Right.
Hamilton's have just got thin ear
drums. He's a Worsley.
Sorry.
I've remembered what I wanted to ask you. Do you have any like superstitions that you do before you go jumping or anything? Do you have like any? Are you superstitious at all?
Nah, not at all, man.
No. Do you have any like thoughts? What's going through your head before you jump? That you stood on the edge. Do you have any like thoughts or?
You have to be confident in yourself. So you have to your mind has to be clear. Obviously, like you still have to be aware of what could happen. Like you're saying, when I had my accident, you're still mindful of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, like you're saying, physically you've got it, but mentally you stand on the edge, and if you're just not feeling it, you have to walk away, because if you're not feeling it and you jump, that's when you'll fuck up and you'll hurt yourself. I've done it. It's like you want to do it, but you're actually not ready to do it.
So you have hurt yourself doing the jumping?
Oh yeah. Everyone, I think everybody has. That's another thing with cliff jumping. There's no practice. Cliff jumping. How do you practice for a 60-foot double backflip? You just have to kind of. You work up to it. You don't go straight to doing that. You'll start at maybe whatever you feel comfortable 30, and then you'll go 40, and then just progress up for that. But there's no like safety net or real practice for that airtime.
No, you just and it's like one and done as well. Like it's not like you get to redo it.
Yeah.
Like if you do hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So it must just be repetition and practice to get those type of stuff down.
Yeah, that's it. It's definitely, and then kind of getting the aerial awareness. So again, having the sort of, I wouldn't say trampoline background, but starting when I was younger doing trampoline, to just getting the motion of a backflip. It's like I do backflip in my sleep kind of thing. I've just done so many of them. It's like a second nature, so you don't have to think too much about it. Or even sometimes when you do, if you over rotate a wee bit, you can almost adjust your body or get your arms out to sort of slow down. So your reactions kick in to try and correct it.
When you're in mid-air, is it like, does everything slow down, or is it all just gone so quick when you're in actually flying?
It depends. I found when I'm doing, it's weird. So I've done a triple front flip, triple front half you call it, so 2 front flips and then a half front half out. And I find that has been one of the slowest tricks I've done as far as time goes. I think I've done 42 foot's the highest I've done that. And because you're aware of where sorry, start again. You have to sort of count the motion in your head each flip, because you can't visually see where you are. You're just sort of not eyes closed, but you're saying right 1, 2, and when you feel that third rotation in your head, that's when you've got to kind of open and then that split second you see the water to adjust how to sort of then land.
Right. Okay.
So I think because you're sort of tucking for so long, that feels like forever. You're hold, and then open. That sometimes when you're doing higher jumps, it's kind of a similar feeling. You've obviously got a lot more air time.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes from like say 60, 70, 80 foot, just doing one single flip is more of a rewarding feeling. Just floating out. You get
to enjoy the rest of it.
Just one big float and watch everything coming. But a lot of the people I know cliff jump who are really good at it, everybody hates a straight jump.
All right.
They're the scariest.
What, just jumping?
Straight jump, just jump. A lot of people find them scary as fuck compared to like doing a flip or that.
Why is that?
Because when you jump, you see everything coming. You've got that butterfly feel. You know when you jump off a diving board, that dropping factor. And when you do it, that sort of butterfly in your stomach just stays the whole time. And because again, you can see the floor, but the water coming to you. It's just
you're bracing for the impact the whole time.
You're kind of just like, whoa. So when you're doing like a flip or anything, your body's moving, so you don't get that sort of butterfly feeling, and your mind's you're occupied elsewhere. So you're not initially thinking of this free fall. You don't have the same free fall feeling doing a flip as you do a straight jump.
No, because you've got to be thinking about
That's honestly one of the most mental things I've ever heard.
Yeah,
but it's funny because most people start off with a straight jump, or everyone starts off with a straight jump.
I couldn't do anything other than a straight jump.
And that's probably what sends the fear into them.
Well, that 80 foot, like I say, did in south of Fort William, that was my biggest straight jump. Before that would have been 60.
Yeah. So you also go down deeper, though. Like if you're hitting maybe I don't know, maybe not. Surely if you're hitting the water straight down like that.
Yeah, but you're aiming to hit the water straight down.
Yeah,
anyway.
you're still landing the same.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
unless you want to do a belly flop.
Everyone's kind of got their own technique on when to land, but I know like when I'm say the last sort of 15, 20 foot, depending how high you're going. Say it's a high jump, 70, 80. The last 10 or 15ish foot, you're sort of wide open. So you've got sort of full control of the flip, and then the last bit you'll just go poof, tuck in. So my arm's coming like that. People will do this, people like do that or whatever, or everyone's got their own way. But you need to like punch that water. You need to be as tense as you can be, and solid core. Every muscle in your body is like just to punch this water. Because if you don't punch the water will punch you, and that's when you'll get hurt. You know, if you're sort of relaxed a wee bit, your legs can buckle under the water. I mean, it's happened to most people. It's happened to myself a few times. Just even though you think you're tense, it just depends how hard, or even if your toes are slightly pointed a different way, you know, they'll kick you under the water a bit different angle when you're going that fast and that high. Okay. And then sometimes your leg can sort of go to the side, and you know, people can hurt themselves just from the
land.
I've never even thought about that side of it, to be fair. That's mental.
You don't really think about it until it happens to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's too late, and then you don't do it a second time because it was sore the first time.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, you have to.
Have you had any close calls? Like anything where you've like...
Oh yeah.
Like what?
So, again, this was like early summer 2020. As I was saying before, I knew what can go wrong. So I was like, you know, I was getting comfortably confident at doing like a backflip, double backflip, and then trying new tricks. And I was watching these guys in America who were massive in cliff jumping. And I would watch them do a trick, and I'd be like, right, okay, I could kind of do that. So I'd practice on the trampoline, you know. So they were doing 2 flips. I would try to break it down. I would do a back from the trampoline, and then the second time I would obviously take a bounce in between and do a back full. So I was sort of getting the idea of doing a back flip, then a back full.
Yeah.
And then again, I was just taking it to the cliffs, and I was just able to do it because I genuinely didn't have no fear as to what could go wrong until it did. So I think I'd done a double back flip off of 30 foot at Arbroath, and then went to 40 foot. And then that's when I went to the diving board, which was 54, 55 foot. And the diving boards, as you'll know, it's a quite a narrow rock that sticks out. And the pool of water is kind of like, it's a narrow pool of water, narrow board. Everything about it's just pretty sketchy. It's fine for a straight jump because you can, going forward, you can kind of see and jump. But when it happened, again, the rock, it's got a slope on it, so naturally it points you like to the left rather than towards the water kind of thing.
Okay.
So I was so focused on doing the double backflip, the timing and that, I literally stood in the rock, got my feet in the position, just gave myself the 3, 2, 1 countdown, and I went for it, double backflip, totally again, confident what I was doing. I done my first backflip, and then I came around to the second time, and all I could see was rock. Like, I couldn't, and water wasn't even in, like,
Your
the vision, yeah. And honestly, there's a video of it. There's a video on my Instagram, I have to show you it. But I literally put my hands and feet out to land on my, as if I was going to land on a rock. You know, just instinct of just like, I'm going to land, I need to do something rather than just going on my face. And sure enough, I think my left hand bounced off the rock. I tore on my left hand, just cut it, that if I didn't like break anything and such, but my left hand hit the rock, sent me flying, my left hand went up in the air, which then obviously threw me over a bit, so I ended up landing, like, say, on my bum, back, and my head, and then, because I landed so sort of flat in the water, I obviously didn't go very deep, and I was up the water, back up out of the water, sorry, in no time. And I remember there was people down on kayaks beside, and I was just like, what happened there? Because I felt like I'd hit my head on something, but that was just the water impact. It came up, and I was just like, I felt like I'd been punched in the face, you know. And it's just, I was
seeing stars in it.
Yeah, kind of just a bit sort of dazed, and I was just like, whoa, what the? And I looked at my hand. My hand was a bit nippy. It wasn't until I got out of the water, and then obviously it was sort of gushing my blood and that. But yeah, just as I say, just rather than facing this way, I planted my feet the way the rock slopes. Didn't obviously have that double check to look over before going for it. I was just so set on doing this.
I hadn't even thought about the fact, your back was to the rocks.
I
hadn't even fucking thought about that part of it.
That's what I mean, man. It's like jumping forward off, it's fine because you can see where you're going. Your feet are naturally just to where your eyes see. But but my back was turned to it. I was holding on to someone's hand. And then I was just, my feet were there, and I just went for it because I was ready to do this trick. So psyched up for doing this, and thankfully, honestly, like say, if I was like honestly like even half a foot to my left, it'd be I don't know if I'd been sitting here. It was
that's fucking wild.
It's that close.
That's scary.
So like say, scraped on my hand, which just sent me over, and I just ended up like having a bit of a slam on my sort of my back and my head. But it was weird at the time because I was totally pumped with adrenaline, obviously, after it happened. And between doing the trick and between like sort of injuring myself, and I got out of the water and I was like I'm actually alright. I'm not like broken anything.
I haven't fucked myself up here yet.
So I actually went to go and do it again. Well, this is it, right? So you remember Kyle Skelly, right? So he was the guy videoing, and he actually talked me out of it because he videoed it and he witnessed it. And he was like, dude, I'm totally not comfortable with you doing that again. That was fucking way too close for comfort. And I was like, nah, I'm fine. Like, the flip was fine. I just took off facing the wrong way. And he's like, look, I don't want to be here videoing this or doing this while you do it. That was scary as fuck to watch.
Yeah, okay.
So he talked me out of it. And it wasn't until I went home, drove home, and then I kind of realised what had actually happened. The adrenaline wore off, and it was just like,
how close it was.
And then you're like, my hand.
That was still wide open, but yeah. And I think it was the next day. Again, this was through lockdown, and I went not depressed, but in a very low mood of like, holy fuck. And like, I didn't do it for 2 weeks. I turned my phone off. I didn't go out the house, and I was just like
death scare. Like
it was just a proper reality check.
Fucking
I was just
hell.
like, holy fuck, dude. Like that could have been way
really
worse.
bad.
And
really,
I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just shut myself in, didn't talk to anyone, and just stayed indoors for like 2 weeks.
Jesus.
Aye, scary shit. Like,
that's wild.
Makes you rethink things.
Yeah, it really does. And I think I sort of needed that before I got a worse reality check where I really hurt myself. I needed to be.
It's amazing that you only
got
got that little injury on your hand as well for something.
You said
that
there's
could
a video of that on your
worse.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll need to let us see that at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Quality. Well, not quality, obviously. I'm not like.
No, it's quality. It's quality that you made it.
But then again, when that was like summer in 2020, and then obviously I didn't go cliff jumping for a few weeks after that, obviously. But then when I did go back, even just to do smaller stuff, I just felt shit scared to even jump off of like 30 foot.
Well, of course, man.
Just didn't have it. And I humped and hayed for like months of like, I don't know if I can do this. And I got doing double backflips from lower again eventually. And I was at the point of like, almost giving up, of like having wets up. And it's just like, I just don't enjoy this anymore. It's rocked me too much. And then I think it was literally 6 months later on 28th or 29th birthday, the 30th of December, like just after Christmas, I got everybody together to have like a birthday at the cliffs. So we had a wee fire on the go in a fire pit, we had a barbecue, and I was just like, I'm going to do this, or it's either, if I don't do this now, it's like a make or break for me.
Yeah.
So that was it. We had all the boys there, we were jumping in, having a good day. Went up, I was doing a lot of practice on the 40, and then I went up for it. Obviously, I took a good, like, I was up there for a while, took a good 10 minutes of sort of being on the rock, holding someone's hand, kind of ready to go.
Yeah.
And just the 3, 2, 1, and it was a 3, 2, 1. I let go of the hand, and then I went for it, and it was totally perfect. Still, when I look back, still close to the rock, not like the perfect where you want to be. But I've only done that jump twice. The first time when I hit my hand, the second time for redemption, and I don't think I'd need to do it again. I've proved a point. I've gotten over that sort of fear, but I don't think I would do that again in a hurry anyway.
No.
Well, it's a good thing you have, man, because it's legit to keep on doing.
Well, that's I mean,
in December as well, mate.
I know.
Not touched on that enough, by the way. That's savage to go jumping in
so
December in
Scotland.
Scotland.
Again in December there again. We went to redo it for the fucking absolute freezing cold, man. As if the North Sea's not cold enough all the time.
Yeah, that's like a different level going in December. It really is. But like I say, it's a good thing because you went and done all these things abroad now. You plan on doing more stuff away in Europe?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So there's the same guy, Declan, down south. He's organising our trip down to Malta in October. I can't make the trip because I'm on a family holiday like the same week, which is unfortunate, but I think it's going to be a thing. We do like a start of season and then an end of season sort of trip abroad.
Cool.
Because again, with the UK group, we typically do the Scotland tour, which me and my pal Paul McGuinness, we organise, obviously being up in Scotland, which can sort of start in Pitlochry, and I think we're on to like this year coming 24 will be the 7th Scotland tour. So it's the longest running tour.
Nice.
I think I joined on Scotland 4 before I actually found the group. So you used to start, like, Pitlochry is always a starting point. It's quite central.
It's a good way. Yeah, it's nice central.
And you tend to go east or west, but the past 2 years we've went like through Glencoe, Fort and then over to the Isle of Skye.
Okay, nice.
Tour and that. So that's like, it's like a 5-day trip officially, but then you go like before and after, and you make it as long as you can, like 8 or 9 days. Exploring more.
Do you look for places, or do you just drive around like?
Well, I don't know.
A lot, because again, like the Isle of Skye is so far away from everybody. The first time we went, it was a bit of like, we're going to go, but we don't actually know if this is jumpable.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was like a 6-hour drive or 7-hour.
Did you like Google this bridge or whatever it was?
Yeah. So you know yourself, there's a lot of like Scotland scenery pages or hill walking pages or wild swim pages, and then like someone will post like a picture of them like in this pool, and you see a waterfall, and you're just like, okay, and then I message myself, can I please have this location? Because some folk are a bit don't give them out kind of thing, which is fair dues. But then once you see a picture, you just kind of try and Google a bit more yourself if it's close to someone, because we know people all around the country that do it kind of thing. Not so much Scotland, but just you're like, oh, if that's close to you, you got a free weekend, go and have a check, and then just you might write it off, or it might be good to go. So the Isle of Skye was quite a bold decision, because nobody'd really been to any of these spots, and we had people up from like literally the south coast and like south of London. Some people drove 13 hours.
Could have been for nothing.
Yeah, it was. But then you've always kind of got a backup plan if like you're not cliff jumping, or it's a rainy day, or the waterfalls are too heavy.
Make the most.
There's always stuff to see. You're out in nature. There's hills to climb, or just stuff to do and see. So there's always a sort of backup option. Yeah, loads of road trips throughout the year. It's class.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
How long is it going to be before the wee man's doing stuff like that?
Well, he's already doing it.
He's doing a lot. I've seen him doing a lot.
How old is he?
He's 11 now, but I've had him there since he was about. Well, it was again lockdown when we started doing it. So I think he was like 7 or 8. It's probably 7.
Right.
I got my wetsuit and a life jacket, and he just came along.
He just loves it the way. Yeah, he's mad.
Well, man.
Because I seen, what was it? I seen you. It was. We were at yours or something, and he was like jumping on the trampoline from your shed roof and everything like that, but like fearlessly, like not even doing it. I was like, you're just so much like your dad. It's crazy, man.
I know. He's kind of been doing that stuff since he's young, So
does he just see you do it and he's like, I want to do it too? And then you're like,
pretty much. Then I can obviously pass on how to do it. Tell him, right, do this or do that sort of thing. So
make sure he does it safely.
And sort of guide him through it. So you always have a bit of banter that he's going to be better than me when he's older. And I was like, you better be, because I'm teaching you how to do it. So you've got like 20 years on me. You better be. So.
Second generations normally are better, no?
Yeah, well.
They normally take it up better.
Can you do a backflip now, right?
Can
you do a backflip?
Can I?
No, you can do one. Fucking hell. Can he?
Yeah, he can do them, yeah. He's doing them like on the grass, the trampolines, and off the cliffs and that.
No, what about it? That's mad. Fair play, man. That's
he loves it.
You'll just be able to. he will just want to be like you, no doubt, man. Seeing someone do that it would be, especially when you're that young, because like you say, when you're young, man, you got no fear. You just do whatever, and they've got no fear of breaking that.
Some people do, but it's obviously like down to the parent. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you get parents that like act scared of anything, then their kids end up scared easy. Whereas I can't imagine that being the way.
No, I mean, it's like I'll show him what to do, and some things he doesn't want to do it, and it's like fair enough. And then you'll come back and like next week and you'll want to do it, and then I'll sort of guide him through it. So like, see, it's like I started, like he does the trampolining quite well, so you'll learn his tricks how to do a backflip or a back full, and then it's just adapting it to the cliffs. You know, I'll tell him, right, slow it down, or remember jump far, or just train almost like a wee apprentice. You know, to try to keep guiding right. You know, rather than try to learn the hard way. That'll be a bit of a shortcut.
But that'll serve him well. Like I can imagine, like when we'd been in school, if it had been like, oh, what were you doing this weekend? You're like, I was just up here jumping in cliffs. You'd be like, oh fucking hell, man, that's
it'll be top boy, man. It'll be top boy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's insane.
Yeah, it's not just the. I saw on your socials. It's not just the cliff jumping you're doing. You did a little bit. You did a little bit of the cave walking as well, in Arbroath. No, how was that? I've never done that.
Yeah, so we've done it a few times. I actually mean to do more of it, like coasteering, because
it seems savage. It seems really cool.
We just go cliff jumping, you know, and just jump off cliffs, but. There's loads of like caves and tunnels and loads to explore that we don't even know about.
100%,
you can see a lot of the tunnels, but because they're so long and dark,
it's another level of danger, isn't it? Like the going into the cave is totally different.
Well, have you started doing that as well?
Well, not so much.
I've seen a few videos of you doing it. I was just wondering what it was like, and if that's like, because I think that on some level it wouldn't give you the same adrenaline rush, maybe not, but the fear factor while you're in there would be unbelievable. Well, for me, anyway.
Again, I've got a pal. You've probably seen that Arbroath cliff tours. They he does the kayak, and he's like well educated on the cliffs. Again, through lockdown, I made the cliff jumping group, and he was going out in his kayak like almost every day, mapping everything on it, like just a pen and paper, and really studying the history of the cliffs and the depth and the size of the cliffs, what's access at high tide, low tide, with his torches and stuff. So now he's making a living from doing it, you know, just out of kayaking for fun through COVID. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, we used to with him.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
That's awesome.
Like,
you love being able to see people do stuff like that. That's their hobby, and they turn it into that. That's great.
Like some of the caves are going back over 100 meters, and a lot of folk, like most folk, will just walk on the cliff path, having no idea what's underneath them. You know, and even I wouldn't have. I didn't know until we started going out with him. I've not been out with him for a long time, but like I've still not fully explored the whole coastline, but. It's crazy what's underneath.
Yeah. I've been interested in going on some of them, but like. You hear horror stories of them filling back up in high tide.
I've not thought about it before, eh?
Have you never thought about going?
Do you know what videos I see a lot, which it's what it makes me think of, and they like terrify me. The people doing the cave thing, but then they end up like crawling through like little bits of caves.
Would
you do that?
Yeah. Well, there is one cave in Arbroath like that. Oh,
you done it?
That makes me feel
you have
uncomfortable.
To breathe in and like shimmy yourself down. It's not a water cave. You go in your clothes. It's You have to climb up. You have to climb up and like sort of go leg first at head height to get in and over this.
Okay.
And then you go down. It must be like a 30-foot sort of narrow descent. And then you get to like I wouldn't say a beach, but like a sandy sort of basin. That goes back another like 30, 40 meters maybe.
That's amazing.
But the whole sort of like getting into this bit is like breathing in and like scraping your head past some stuff like.
I just.
You claustrophobic?
Nah, do you know what? Maybe I don't know. Sounds like it. Nah, because I don't mind being like in confined space, but just like every single bit in my brain, and I know that's not how it works, but it's just thinking it's gonna. It's just gonna fold while I'm inside. Like I'm gonna get halfway through there, and it's all of a sudden just gonna start getting smaller, and I'll get stuck. But I don't know if maybe I don't know.
Maybe too many movies.
Yeah, well, man. It's seeing that, like seeing the people that are in it, and it's like fucking they're like trying to like crawl through it, and it's absolutely this tiny wee fucking gap, and they're like it doesn't look like fun, but fair play. Maybe I'm just a bit of a bitch.
No, it's definitely a different thing. Yeah. Like it's a different type of
that's that
hobby.
I understand why people would like it for the adrenaline rush, because like watching it, my heart goes like fuck. Never mind being there. So
I can imagine.
It's like interesting and exploring as well. Like how far can you go? Because there's a whole rumour. I think it is just a rumour that used to be a tunnel from the caves that led to the Abbey. That's where like the Abbey was built and stuff. It's all sandstone. I think it's just a massive rumour because, like, say, between a lot of people that I know who know the coastline, being kayakers, fishermen, that I think they've been well explored that there's not actually a tunnel, but it's just.
We can let that live, man.
Yeah.
Let it live. Let that live, man. You don't need to go busting all the myths today. Lee. Come on, man. 100 footers gone.
Yeah, you've got broken arm. Never mind that as well.
Yeah, maybe it's yet to be found then.
No, man, it's been good. I think we might wrap that up there, but it's been class having you on, Lee, man.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, it's been good.
It's been good having you on. I hope you've enjoyed your wee visit to the StankCast studio.
Yeah, it's been good. It's better than I thought. I thought I'd be nervous just chatting shit, but no, it's been fine just having to be blethery and open up about a few things not spoke about in a while, you know.
Nah, it's good, man. We like hearing all your stories and like.
Yeah.
On you go.
I was just gonna say it was really interesting hearing about it all. Like, so obviously I've like known you for a while, so it's like I know, but like never like hearing the details of it all and stuff.
Yeah,
like the close calls.
People just see it, sort of highlights the videos on the Facebook or whatever on Instagram, like the jump spots, sort of behind the scenes that you were talking about tonight.
You should definitely keep doing that. The YouTube side of it, man. It's good fun. Yeah, like, good fun watching.
Man, I've got when we were doing our Scotland tour in June, I've got about 400 odd videos to get through. I've not even looked at them, but. Similar, I didn't have as much. I've got more this year than I did last year, and I put it off that long. The actual next Scotland tour was coming round, so I posted, I think it was Scotland or 2022 trip, like a month before the 23 one happened. I just left it so long, just put it off forever. And I was like, I can't leave this a whole past a year, 8 years. So I was just like total on it for like 2 whole weeks every night, just like.
It's hard though, isn't it? Like, the editing's no joke, man. It's no joke.
Very time consuming.
Sitting down and doing all that, and you do a good job, to be fair. So you should keep doing it.
Cheers, man.
Because I enjoy watching them. Like I watched a few of them.
I'm intrigued to see if you've got like that many videos coming up. Like I'll be intrigued to see some of them. Like
I've still got there's loads of videos from our Wales trip as well, but just like it's a winter job that.
I'll do that. Fuck off! You'll be jumping in still in the winter.
Exactly, man. Well, man, it's been good having you on. It's been good chatting shit.
Yeah,
and, it was lovely to hear from you again. Hopefully we can get you on after your next trip or that or whatever and speak to you again. Cheers everyone for listening again, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.